Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Councilman Derek S. I am one of the co-chairs of the Special Committee on Regulatory Review and Reform, here with my two other co-chairs. To my right, our Commerce Director, Harold Epps, and to my left, our President and CEO of the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce, Rob Wunderling. First and foremost, I want to commend Council President Dow Clark for his leadership in working together and having me co-sponsor the resolution that we introduced back in February 2017 to really put together the Special Committee of Regulatory Review and Reform together. For too long, when you think about the city of Philadelphia, people have not always thought that Philadelphia was open for business. I think this report and the work of the Special Committee really helps to change that narrative and how we are open for business, for all businesses, no matter if you're small, medium, or large, that we want you to come into the city of Philadelphia, and if you're an existing business in the city of Philadelphia, we want you to grow and thrive. And so this was a real great opportunity, a true public-private partnership from the public sector, both from the city council and the administration, from the private sector, the Chamber of Commerce, and businesses from all around the city of Philadelphia and the region, as well as institutions like University of Pennsylvania, all coming together to really help to change the environment in the city of Philadelphia to really demonstrate that we're open for business. Since 2010, we've added about 50,000 new jobs to the city of Philadelphia, but we know we can do more. And I think by doing the work of this committee and really tackling some of the challenges and dynamics that we've had over the years really help to demonstrate what we're doing going forward to really attract businesses to the city of Philadelphia. So when we look at this progress report that's coming out today in today's hearing, you get a chance to hear from the various subcommittees who cover all different aspects of the business community here in the city of Philadelphia, and really provides an opportunity to not only talk about some of the work we've done from both initiatives by getting rid of 16 bills in our code, talking about a number of different regulations, developing a better working environment between the business community and the public sector regarding regulations and issues and concerns, but also starting to address some of our small and medium-term challenges and some of the long-term challenges we have to really move forward and push the city forward as a city that really promotes and supports growth in our region and in the nation. As many of you know, that one of our number one issues is poverty. We are the largest big city with the highest level of poverty, and helping to grow jobs at the small business level, the medium-sized level, and the large corporation level really helps address poverty in our city. And I think the work of this special committee, through all of the members of the special committee, the co-chairs, and all the people who really invest in this process over the past 18 months really help us find a way to address poverty in our city. So at this point, I'm going to have one of my other co-chairs, our Commerce Director, Harold Epps, give some remarks.
So good morning, and thank you to Councilman Green and the other tri-chair, and Rob Wunderling, who you'll hear from a minute. It's kind of reflective for me. I moved to Philadelphia about 11 years ago and got very involved in the chamber when I was in the private sector, and began to get an appreciation of some of the frustrations that businesses of all sizes were confronted with in doing business in the city. Upon accepting the position of Director of Commerce 2.5 years ago, I was happy to work with Councilman Green and Clark to kind of get this initiative off the ground, and have learned from it that there is a balance, the balance between the need to regulate and the balance of needing to be open to do business. And our job is to make sure that we try to strike that common ground to advance Philadelphia. Make no mistake about it that we can do better than we're doing, and some of the work that we've already done reinforces that, but we want to reinforce that this is a journey, and that we will continue to be vigilant about knocking down, eliminating, streamlining, and where appropriate, automating how you can do business in a more simplified fashion. So I am pleased with what we've done thus far, but I'll never be satisfied until you, the small business and large businesses, say that we are as competitive as any other city in doing business, and let me just say that we're not there yet. So, on behalf of the administration, we are committed to and will continue to work with the co-chairs and others to make sure that we make the progress that will continue to elevate and then further increase the 50,000 job rate that we've done thus far. We've got more lofty goals than that, but I am pleased to say that we have outpaced the national average over the last 2 years in job growth. I think we'll do that again this year, but we should not rest on our laurels. We should continue to move forward, and the work that these committees have done is a critical part of that. So with that, I will pass it over to the cleanup hitter, Rob Wunderling, the President and CEO of the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. But again, we want to thank all the work that's been done thus far and want to continue to make sure that we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Commerce Director. I'm not sure if I want to accept the mantle of a cleanup hitter, although I think the Phillies could use one based on last night's sweep. And actually, I'm going to probably pivot into a football analogy since that's a more optimistic scenario in a moment. But I want to echo my fellow co-chairs first to really thank on behalf of this city and this region's business community, Council President Clark, whose leadership, in all candor, that this process could have never have occurred. And Derek Green and the Commerce Director S began a process in the Council President's office, and here we are a year later in chambers with a report. I also want to recognize a couple of other members of City Council that have been faithful to this process. Not an easy thing to do when you consider the demands of being a local elected official. And that's Councilwoman Sanchez, Councilman Taubenberger, Councilman Heenan, and Councilman Johnson, and their very capable staff. So I know on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia, we appreciate this opportunity to engage with the Keddy administration and with our local legislative body in what I would suggest building an infrastructure that will ultimately produce an outstanding outcome for existing enterprises in this city and those from around the world that aspire to set up shop in the city of Philadelphia. I also want to take this time to recognize a couple of key chamber members that were part of the leadership team in building this infrastructure, and really want to thank Leslie Spina, who has been the chair of our child care subcommittee. I see Mike Brown, and I saw Pamela Fly earlier, two great chamber members that co-chair the construction and real estate subcommittee. Also two great chamber members in Saba Tedla and Nick Baer. They co-chair the Food and Hospitality Subcommittee. Chet Reddick, who I saw Chet in the back of the room, chairs the Manufacturing Subcommittee. Anuj Gupta and Jennifer Rodriguez, my colleague from the Greater Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, chair the Small Business Committee. And in representing our growing and burgeoning startup and tech sector was Lori Ackman from the University of Pennsylvania, and she chaired that committee so named. So again, these folks were here volunteering their time, countless hours in, as I said a moment ago, building the infrastructure. I think the results to date have been modest. The councilman represents 15 heretofore outdated regulations repealed. I think they're on the periphery of what matters most to free enterprise in the city of Philadelphia in the year 2018 and in the future years. But that's okay, because, and now to the football analogy, when you assemble a team, you spend an awful lot of time building an infrastructure for success. And really, I think the great success that we've had in this past years are not necessarily the outdated regulations repealed, but working in good faith. This business community, in partnership with the Keddy administration and City Council, has built an operating infrastructure, whereas we can look at, and there's a lot to look at in terms of the plethora of regulations that are on the books that might be obsolete, outdated, and quite frankly, a barrier to growth and growth of small businesses in this city. So we've built, through volunteer leadership, through this great partnership at the leader and staff level with the local government, process and infrastructure to review regulations and then make, as our Commerce Director suggested, thoughtful choices that achieve the right and proper balance between ensuring public health and safety and welfare and eliminating what we think are oftentimes obsolete and illogical barriers to business and growth. And so, yes, the results on repeal have been modest, but also, equally if not more so, the work to date has been absolutely outstanding. We have every reason to believe going forward into the next phase and the phase after that in this journey that Harold described is that it's going to foster even more results. It's going to foster results that show greater collaboration between the Kenney administration, City Council, and this city's business community. We have a lot of work to do, a lot of work ahead of us. Time is not our friend. Unfortunately, in a global economy, choices around capital and decisions are made at a much more faster pace than we could ever have imagined before. And so a good measure of our ability to strike that balance is agility and velocity. How quickly can this government do something to remove barriers in support of small enterprises in this city? By example, and I think it's a low-end estimate, it takes somewhere between 8 and 10 months right now to get completely licensed and permitted if you're a restaurant entrepreneur in this city. That's way too long. And I know that we can change that. I know that we have, again, the infrastructure in place to make it so. So yeah, we're learning how to snap the ball and go make a block and hand it off and maybe get 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But I have no doubt that at some future date, this organized approach, once institutionalized, will really be renamed the Philly Special.
Thank you, Rob. I would be remiss to not thank the outstanding staff that really helped put together, along with all our co-chairs and subcommittee chairs, that really helped put together this report. So I want to thank all of the hard work done by my staff, the Commerce Department staff, as well as the Chamber staff and the Council President staff to really work cooperatively together as a team to really help us put together this report. As Rob stated, I have colleagues that have worked on this special committee. One of my colleagues is here who has a unique perspective, being the former president of the Greater Northeast Chamber of Commerce, Councilmember Al Tarnberger. So if you'd like to say a few words.
It's really, on my behalf, an honor to be on the committee. I think we have a lot of work to do. I think what was stated earlier by Rob Wonderling, that time is not our friend. It's been stated, it may have been stated earlier, because Harold Epps and I like to chat a little bit, and we're moving in the right direction, except it's not fast enough and quick enough. And when you're America's largest, poorest city, you got to do something about that, and you have to become friendly to business. I think this is what this committee is. I think with the collective brain trust of everyone here working together, rowing together in many ways, we can accomplish a lot. And it's about time that we are known as a very, very business-friendly city, and this is where it starts. Thank you.
So as we close, we've had a lot of sports analogies from rowing to football, but when Rob was speaking, it made me think of, I was watching SportsCenter the other day, and Marshawn Lynch, who was running back for the now Las Vegas Raiders, scored a touchdown. But if you notice how he scored that touchdown, he was running, but his teammates came behind to really push him over the goal line. And I think that's what's indicative of what's happening here. We've made some gains, but we have a lot more work to do, as our Commerce Director said, but it's all of us coming together to really push us over the goal line so we can achieve that goal of making the city of Philadelphia the #1 city for business in our nation. So with that, I'll close. Any questions?
So the committee is looking to move beyond just repealing regulations.
Absolutely. I think, as Rob talked about, this collaboration has come together, not only putting together this report, but also other activities beyond just repealing regulations. For example, we're now in the process of working in a collaborative perspective within the administration of how we can do a pilot to make it easier for some of our departments to communicate among each other by using cloud-based technology and software. So those are some of the things we're trying to do going forward. To some of the information and discussions that have come out of the work of this committee is also pushing us forward as well. So it's not just repealing regulations and repealing aspects of code, but also taking some of the comments and suggestions and thoughts and the work of this committee to kind of move us forward and some of those harder issues in reference to how we can move things forward as a city.
So do you feel now like 16 clauses or whatever have been repealed, that are you pretty much done with, as Rob said, the periphery of what's important to?
I would say it's a parallel process. It's really about the city becoming best in class as a place to do business, and I don't see this ending anytime soon. It's about repealing, eliminating, automating. It's all of that in parallel. And the people you see sitting out there who represent some of the committees will continue to push us, challenge us, encourage, and make recommendations on reducing the barriers and the obstacles of doing business, literally in a parallel process across all dimensions. Repeal, eliminate, automate, streamline, whatever it takes for them to say to us, we feel that we're better today than we were last year and the year before about doing business in Philadelphia.
And just to follow up on that point, it's not just about the repeal of code and regulation, but also introducing legislation that also makes it easier for businesses to operate in the city of Philadelphia. So it's an ongoing process. We'll transition to like an advisory board and continue to have this dialogue and conversations. And now we'll get to some of the more challenging aspects of what we need to do to move our city forward. Any other questions? All right, thank you all.